Now to the papers. Let's see what the headlines are in Nigeria. Really interesting headlines, interesting from the window you look at it. I have with me in the studio senior lecturer at the University of Lagos, Dr. Daniel Kere. He's here with us, as well as a public affairs analyst, Smart Akpejoye. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you both.
Yeah, good morning.
Right. Okay. Let's start with Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard newspaper is where we start from right now. A storm as Kaduna government lists fresh hurdles for El Zakzaki. And you will see some riders there to explain further. My client will not comply with orders not covered by order of the Kaduna High Court. Falana is saying this. And will disregard Kaduna State government's conditions. IMN is saying this. And if he gets to India, we can't stop him from going to Iran. Junaid Mohammed is throwing in his comments there. And government should respect court order. Senator Shehu Sani is saying this. Then we have, we'll move to the News Direct. News Direct says a 5 trillion naira debt, defaulters in trouble as Buhari signs AMCON bill, to others into law. And besides that, you have NLC to DSS, release Showore other protesters now, and how Lagos will achieve universal health coverage. The governor of Lagos State is saying that. Okay, you find all that on the front page of the News Direct. Let's move now to Blueprint. And that one says, as court stops a National Assembly takeover, Buhari promises justice in Edo and Bauchi, says, I'll respect party supremacy in second term. That's what you see on the front page of the Blueprint. Okay, The Nation is the next paper we go into now. Presidency, PDP clash over economy, security. Opposition says government not performing. Economy not in trouble. It's a back and forth, if you ask me there. Okay. Now, gentlemen, let's run this story about an incident that may pit the police against the Nigerian Army. That's the killing of 3 policemen and a civilian by soldiers in Taraba State. Now, TVC News has obtained exclusive pictures of the attack on the policemen, conveying the kidnapped kingpin. But we would like to warn that the images you are about to see are of graphic nature. This is the aftermath of when the soldiers opened fire on the police convoy and the confusion that followed. Now, one of the soldiers said in Hausa to his team, they have identified themselves. And another voice is heard in the same language saying, we will kill them all, we'll kill all of you. And I'll listen to the voices. Soldiers can also be seen around. From the footage, one of those shot by the soldiers didn't die immediately. He was alive at the start of the clip, but died later on. And the vehicle in which they were traveling in, some assaulted, and we can see, as you can see right now, how the kidnapped suspect escaped. You can see that. Now, police headquarters say an inspector, 2 sergeants, and a civilian were killed in a shootout after they arrested a renowned kidnapper known as Alhaji Hamisu. Now, the Inspector General of Police has ordered full investigations into the killing. All right, gentlemen, I'd like us to take that story. The point there is it's quite very troubling when 2 agencies of government, renowned agencies of government, the army and the military, when it comes to sharing intelligence or working together on the same page, we see a clash like this. I wonder how troubling it is for you. Smart, let me start with you on this.
I would have liked you start with doctor, because it's a lecturer.
Well, for the it's not the classroom.
It's an ugly incident. It's an unfortunate incident. No. And this goes down again to say to most of us talking about this, that in Nigeria, there is no coordination, there is no synergy among our military officers. So, you see, often the times you will see the police saying A, and the army will be saying B. And those even saying it, they are not junior officers, they are at the top hierarchy. So sometimes I wonder the kind of national security advisors we've had in these countries, or who is the national security advisor that cannot coordinate. You see, you don't even need to be there. These days, technology has made it so easy that all you just need to do, within the service chiefs, you have a group, like a WhatsApp group, and where you all share information that is going to go out in the next minute so that you are on the same page. It is so sad that the police are conveying a kidnapped suspect and the army came in. Just look at what we saw. You see, sometimes we don't quantify what we lost. For a police officer to have died, an inspector, what the federal government of Nigeria have spent training such a police officer to an inspector level is enormous. It's because we don't account for the funds that we spend. We feel we are not accountable to anybody. So because of that, they could just do anything. If you look at what goes in to train a police officer, and sheepishly, such an officer will be killed by another sister agency officer. I mean, as at this moment,
it's quite troubling.
As at this moment,
in the 21st century.
In the 21st century, I mean, that shows that something is wrong.
All right.
There is a collapse.
Okay. Dr. Kere, the police released a statement saying that there was a covert operation. That operation was a covert operation. It's a special operation by officers sent in from Abuja to carry out or to conduct that assignment. And on the other hand, the military was saying we got a distress call and we stopped these people. 3 checkpoints. Police, stop, let us find out. And they refused to stop, as the case may be. And then they had to do what they had to do. But another question Nigerians have started asking is that the kingpin who was eventually arrested and was being conveyed by the police, and after all of this, he was nowhere to be found. So I wonder how embarrassing it is when the army and the police are supposed to be working together on a special assignment and in a special terrain, because Taraba, in fact, the whole of the northeast has been a special terrain because of security.
Mike, it's really unfortunate that this kind of things have been seen, not just heard, have been seen in the country. Those who are supposed to be gatekeepers have broken the gates, you know. Now, when you look at it very carefully, a suspect was being conveyed by the police. And that same group, the police and the suspect, are now attacked by the army, in the course of which at least 3 officers were reported to have lost their lives. If we were to just make a literal, conclusion from that, the only thing I would say is that perhaps the army knew something about the suspect. And so, because of all the people that were killed, not even the suspect was killed. It is police that died. So you begin to wonder what could have brought about this kind of attack. And again, what I didn't quite notice is whether the police were actually putting on uniform even. So, because at the time, at least as an army, officer or whatever, a man in the army, where you see a policeman, you'll be able to identify that this is, a member of the force. So, whether they stop or not, I do not think that the right thing to do would be to shoot at the people when you can easily deflate the tires.
Shoot to kill.
But this one is a direct, it was a concerted effort to actually kill. I do not think these are the people we actually prepare them to kill here. There are more to kill in Sambisa Forest. I've been wondering what, these trigger hungry people, why they cannot, deal with those who are actually terrorizing this country. And those who, one way or the other, are trying to salvage the situation are the ones that they get killed easily. It's shocking. You look at the issue of the last protest. Look at the number of, policemen that were brought out. So if we had all these people, why are they not at the various flashpoints to deal with the real issues that are tormenting the country? So it's really worrisome for me, and I think that a proper investigation should be carried out, and the right actions should follow.
Okay, well, smart. The army in their statement has said that there's going to be a joint committee of a special squad of the police and soldiers in order to avert an occurrence like this going forward. Do you think that's the solution?
No, it will not help. You see, it will not help because in the first place, we have, because of the insecurity in that region, we have the army also supporting the police in securing the state. when you are going for such operation, when the police are coming for such operation, in the first place, they have they all know explanation to the army that they are coming for these operations. At such situation, they've carried it out. Just like he said, you shot to kill those policemen. Meanwhile, the main suspect escaped, and you were there as soldiers. If you have killed somebody, how come somebody escaped? So I see there is more question to be asked.
All right.
Because we are always having this problem that a situation will happen, we will set up a committee, and the committee will spend so much money investigating, and yet nothing has happened. Nothing has happened. Nothing tangible, nothing sensible has come out.
We hope this will be different since officers are involved and the government interest is involved in this. Well, thank you very much, Martha Kwejoye, for coming on the program. Thank you.
Into the papers at this time. Joining me to do that is a lecturer at the University of Lagos, Dr. Dan Ekere, and public affairs analyst, Martha Kwejoye. Good morning to you both.
Thank you.
Many thanks for joining us. All right, so gentlemen, let's do this. We begin with the Vanguard. The lead story there is a storm, as it calls it. Kaduna government lists fresh hurdles for El Zakzaky. The Defense Counsel is saying, my client will not comply with orders not covered by order of the Kaduna High Court. Will disregard the Kaduna State government's conditions, says the IMN. If he gets to India, we cannot stop him from going to Iran. That's from Junaid Mohammed. And government should respect court order. This from Senator Shehu Sane. We also have a long list of conditions that El Zakzaky and his wife must fulfill before traveling to India. All right, so much for that. It's a long read, but let's move on. News Direct is next, leading with 5 trillion naira debt. Defaulters in trouble as Buhari signs AMCON bill, 2 others into law. Blueprint follows as court stops NAS takeover. Buhari promises justice in Edo Bauchi State, says, I will respect party supremacy in second term. Of course, this has been a very controversial subject. Now we are seeing the president speaking out. That's the Blueprint. The final paper at this point now is The Nation. All right, so it reads, Presidency PDP clash over economy, security. Opposition says government not performing, economy not in trouble. That's the feedback from the government. But gentlemen, let's also run this story about an incident that occurred last night. It broke last night between the police. First it was the police, and now it's the army speaking out. It's been a very troubling development indeed, talking about this controversy between the police and the army. And that's over the killing of 3 policemen and a civilian by soldiers in Biu, Taraba State. TVC News has obtained exclusive pictures of the attack on the policemen, conveying the kidnapped kingpin. Would like to warn that the images you're about to see are of a graphic nature. Now this is the aftermath of when the soldiers opened fire on the police convoy and the confusion that followed. One of the soldiers said in Hausa language to his team, I quote, they have identified themselves. Another voice is heard in the same language saying, I quote again, we'll kill all of you. Let's listen to the voices again. Well, soldiers can also be seen around. From the footage, one of those shot by the soldiers didn't die immediately. He was alive at the start of the clip but died later. The vehicle in which they were traveling in somersaulted. We cannot say right now how the kidnapped suspect escaped. Police headquarters say an inspector, 2 sergeants, and the civilian were killed in the shootout after they arrested a renowned kidnapper known as Alhaji Hamisu. The Inspector General of Police has now ordered full investigations into the killing. That's the subject of our discussion. I'd like to begin with you, Martha Kwejoye. What happened to the Interagency Cooperation, which high-profile escorts, arrests of this nature should have entailed?
Honestly, it's unfortunate and it is sad that men of the Nigerian police have to lose 3 of their men. I want to believe that these men are members of the maybe IGP,
a special team,
the
indeed.
special team
Yes,
that always go from
IRT,
Abuja,
yes.
as headed by Abba Kyari. And it is so sad because those guys are very dedicated to their duty with a little motivation. And you see, for a police inspector, for an officer to have died as an inspector, you see that the Nigerian police, the Nigerian government must have spent so much training such a person. Again, we have always complained about the fact that there are no synergy between the Nigerian police and the entire military. Oftentimes, okay, it is just unfortunate this time around, it is the police and the army. The other time, it was the police and the civil defense. The police went for the civil defense went for an operation, some oil vandals, somewhere in Ikorodu, and it was the police that stopped them, that accosted them again, that they are not aware. You see, it is so sad that such a thing would be happening in a nation. And this is why we always talk about duplication of roles by security agencies. In the first place, it is not the role of the armies are not supposed to be seen out, but it is because of the fact that the police would lack, they are not enough, and they are ill-equipped, and that's why they have to bring in the soldiers to help in security matter. If not, soldiers are not supposed to be seen quelling or trying to assist in internal security matters. It is just so sad.
Let's also be mindful that the scene of this incident was Taraba State, that has also suffered a lot of, kidnapping incidents of late. So, Dr. Ekere, what are you reading? What question marks are, highlighted in your head right now?
Question mark of lack of synergy, among the security agencies.
But you've seen the back and forth.
Yes.
One is saying it was a covert operation. The army is also saying he even called. They went ahead as calling the police station, the nearest one, and they were not aware of this policeman on this mission.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah, I do not think that it will always be the case that for such operation to take place, the police station in that place will have to be notified. It is possible that there's information somewhere and they acted accordingly. But the bottom line is that how did the army come in? Is it the responsibility of the army to man the roads? But it's a scenario we have found ourselves. We've come to a point that to arrest, somebody even for a civil offense, even the army is involved, which should not be. I think that is what is. But again, it is not limited to the army. The police equally does the same thing. It has happened at different instances, just like you mentioned. They've done it to other, agencies as well. So it is now a kind of a playback, but we are saying that it is not right. And it doesn't go well for the well-being of the state, because on a normal day, it is the police that should be in charge of internal security. The army should not be the ones. But because they are not adequately equipped and they don't have enough manpower, then we have challenges, and considering the level of insecurity, banditry, and what have you.
The nature of kidnapping
beautiful.
now.
So all of that has brought about the scenario we now find ourselves. But it must be managed, it must be handled in a manner that will suggest that we know what we're doing. Because this particular, play, if truly the army felt these were maybe criminals or whatever, I'm very convinced that the kidnapper who escaped must have been in handcuffs. I do not expect that police will arrest such a person and just leave him there without handcuffs. How come that is the one who escaped among the people? If the idea was to shoot to kill, which is what we saw there, because it wasn't just a case of, okay, we want to, just stop them.
The vehicle.
Because all that would have happened is you demobilize that vehicle, but that was not what happened. So if the idea is to shoot to kill, such a person would be the first. If the idea was really to say, okay, these are criminals.
Which brings us to the issue of now, where is Alhaji Hamisu, the alleged kidnapper who the army says is a victim, a kidnapping victim? So where is he? If indeed is a victim, why isn't he in custody?
I think the Nigerian, the soldiers in that vicinity should be made to account for him, because if they could not account for him, then something has happened. Something has happened, perhaps to get that suspect to escape. Because if perhaps you had thought, okay, oh, these are kidnappers, they've come to kidnap somebody, and now you were able to kill the kidnapper, so to say, who are the policemen now, and now the suspect himself now, which I'm sure must have been on handcuff or leg chain, we've not had anything. If that guy have escaped, then those soldiers must be held responsible. I cannot believe that such a thing will happen in such a place and you cannot apprehend, even though if it is, you cannot apprehend such person that you saw in an handcuff. I mean, there is something fishing. I think, look, it's just that, again, after this time out, this matter will be swept under the carpet again. We will not get to hear. We will not get to hear, because even though they say they will investigate, how many investigations have been carried out?
Right,
what have we had?
Right. Yes, indeed. There are precedents, but we hope that this one will indeed, bring about a true call for action.
We don't ever lose hope. That's what we are known for.
We should never lose. We should never lose hope.
Even though those hopes don't bring results. We are ever hopeful.
You've all made crucial points, Dr. Danekere and Mr. Smart Akpejoye. Many thanks to you both.
Thank you.
Let's head to the papers now. See what the headlines in Nigeria are this morning. I have with me in the studio senior lecturer at the University of Lagos, Dr. Danekere, as well as a public affairs analyst, Smart Akpejoye. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good to see you.
Okay, let's begin with the Vanguard newspaper now. A storm as Kaduna government lists fresh hurdles for El Zakzaki. And we have some multiple riders there. My client will not comply with orders not covered by order of the Kaduna High Court. Falana is saying that he is the counsel to Zakzaki and his wife. Will disregard Kaduna State government's conditions. The IMN is saying this. And if he gets to India, we can't stop him from going to Iran. Junaid Mohammed is saying this, and government should respect court order. Senator Shehu Sani is saying this. All right, this is what you see on the front page of the Vanguard. Let's now go to News Direct. News Direct on 5 trillion naira debt, defaulters in trouble as Buhari signs AMCON bill, 2 others into law. Okay, that's what you see at NLC to DSS, release Showore other protesters now, and how Lagos will achieve universal health coverage. Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, is saying that. All right, moving from the News Direct, let's now go to the Blueprint. The Blueprint says, as court stops National Assembly takeover, Buhari promises justice in Edo and Bauchi states, says, I'll respect party supremacy in second term. Okay, that's what you see. This the fallout of the controversy emanating from the Bauchi and Edo State Houses of Assembly. Okay, from the Blueprint, let's go to the Nation newspaper now. The Nation is the one we see now. Presidency, PDP clash over economy and security. Opposition says government not performing and economy not in trouble. It's just a back and forth thing between all the sides now there. Okay, those are the headlines. But certainly, gentlemen, let's run this story about an incident that may pit the military against the police. I will take you to Taraba State, and we've been following this development all the while, where the police against the military. All right, now, gentlemen, we saw just about a few days ago where the military shot and killed some police officers who were in Taraba State on a covert exercise, and there was a breakdown in communication where the police officer, 3 police officers and a civilian were killed, while they had gotten hold of a kidnapped kingpin, alleged kidnapped kingpin, as they say. Now, what does this tell about how government agencies work with each other and for the common good? Dr. Kere, let me start with you.
Yeah, thank you. To start with, it suggests that the level of insecurity is, rather than maybe reduced, is even getting higher. Because those who are supposed to secure us are the ones having this conflict. Now, beyond that, the question of this particular incident, when you look at it very carefully, it raises a lot of questions. And my worry is whether those questions will ever be addressed, which has always been the more or less a tradition now. The next thing you hear is that there will be a panel of investigation or inquiry or whatever. At the end of the day, the reports we don't get we equally don't see any action following. But I'm thinking
but in those kind of instances, must they report to the public what they have found out and what they are doing?
But whichever way it goes, it will certainly get into the public sphere. Because at the end of the day, if one is found guilty, who will find the person guilty? It's not the committee. At the end of the day, the person will be tried in a normal, through a judicial process. And such things will not be hidden. You have judicial correspondence, I think. And what would the person be doing if not giving us this kind of information? We are not even too keen about, you know, at the point of, okay, investigation, so that a lot of things can be actually uncovered. But when it gets to that point that somebody is actually apprehended, the trial process, we should know that the person who was responsible for that particular sinister act is now being tried. And this is a verdict. That is the only way you can deter others from doing the same. Otherwise, because we've had, you know, a lot of these people, both police and the army, the highest is that you transfer from here to there and all of that. You just, they boast, you know, with wasting lives as if they are talking about killing chicken.
All right.
You know, so we really need to address this issue seriously.
All right, smart. Some of the details in the incident from the report that came out may not be very clear to the public. One, from some analysts were saying that when the DPO of the local government to which the covert operation fell under was asked, he claimed ignorance of any covert operation under his jurisdiction. And when you have a situation like that, certainly it could lead to some kind of breach. Then number two is that the kidnap kingpin, that was alleged kidnap kingpin from the police side, who was also alleged to be the victim of kidnap from the side of the military, at the end of the shootout, he was nowhere to be found, and he was said to be in handcuff. So some of these things, how does it come to you when it comes to the issue of intelligence?
First, my sympathy to the Nigerian police community for losing those men in the course of their duty. May their soul rest in peace. Equally, I will probably want to look at it from this. First, it is not compulsory that when police go out for an operation outside their domain, that they must report to the nearest police station. You see, the reason why they do this is that should there be a reprisal, perhaps because we may not have enough men, please, you will come to our rescue. We have come to this area for an operation. Perhaps they might not even disclose. But most often the times, if the this IGP squad, when they go out, most of the time they don't report because they believe sometimes that there could be some insider connivance and they don't want to let out their strategy. So they'll probably go straight to this thing. And in case if they have, though they have the DPO's contacts or whatever, to give them backup if there is any. So it is not compulsory that they must report to the nearest police station, though it's a practice, but not compulsory. However, in this case, when you suspect anything, either be you army or wherever, what you are supposed to do is to perhaps use whatever is at your means to ensure that, look, they don't escape, not to kill. Now, if now you have now killed the police officers that were carrying out their lawful duty mistakenly, that now what now happened to the suspect that was said to be in handcuff? Do the army have him in their custody, or they've handed over to the police? I think we still need to. If they don't have him, and if the guy have escaped, then there is something fishy that the Nigerian army in that area must explain to all Nigerians. Because it is so sad that you kill the lawful people now the suspect now has escaped. You cannot even get him, and you cannot present him. And even in the course of your shooting, how come now you shot those policemen, you got those ones right, you shot those policemen, and even the other person that was in the same vehicle with them was not shot and escaped?
He had audacious.
So I think there is a lot of questions that should be answered.
All right.
And you see, you cannot keep it away from the public.
Okay. Well, in all of this, other analysts are saying there has to be a code, a security code where situations like this come up. When the code is activated, all the parties understand what it should be, so that you don't have this embarrassing situation here and there. But we have to leave you here now. Thank you very much, Smart Akwejoye, for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Dr. Danny Kere, thank you very much.
Thank you, so it was a pleasure.
Right.